Good morning, everybody. We have a mixed to higher trade in the grain markets here early on Tuesday morning. It is 6:30 a.m. Central Time. December corn futures up 2.5 cents at 4.20 and a quarter. November soybeans unchanged at 10.87 and 3/4. December Chicago wheat is up 4 1/4 at 6.24 and a quarter. December Kansas City wheat up 1 at 5.53. December spring wheat is up 2 cents at 5.67. We had a crop progress report from USDA yesterday. Row crop harvest really moving along pretty quickly here. The U.S. corn crop is 72% harvested versus 60% last week and 56% on average. You do have some states that are running behind their respective averages in regard to corn harvest. Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Kentucky. So kind of the eastern area of the Corn Belt. Indiana also included in there. Eastern area of the Corn Belt, a little bit of the southeast, I guess you could say. Now, they do have in those areas a little bit wetter forecast here this week. So that's a factor that could slow harvest in some of these areas that are already a little bit behind average. U.S. soybean crop is 83% harvested versus 75 last week and 73 on average. A lot of these same states running behind their respective averages in regard to bean harvest. Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, Arkansas, Mississippi, Missouri. As with corn, a wetter forecast, of course, could slow the remainder of harvest in some areas here. But overall, things moving very, very quickly. We had our first national crop rating for the U.S. winter wheat crop. The crop rated only 41% good to excellent nationally versus 56 last year and 54 on average. Some of your key HRW wheat states appear to be in very bad shape. When you look at the state-by-state stuff, the Kansas wheat crop is only 29% good to excellent. The Oklahoma crop is only 11% good to excellent. Texas, 37%. Colorado, 24%. Nebraska, 43% good to excellent. The national rating is being propped up, of course, by much better ratings in some of the Eastern Corn Belt, SRW areas, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, and then some of your Western or PNW areas, but HRW ratings not good at all. And of course, they do have some precipitation moving through this week. There's actually a system that's kind of sitting over the Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma, and into Kansas here this morning, and that was advertised, and that was a lot of the reason for the big sell-off in the wheat market yesterday. Brazilian soybean planting now moving quickly. Private group Ag Rural estimates that 23% of the country's soybean crop had been planted through last Thursday. The group estimates that 5.6 million hectares, or about 14 million acres, were planted in a 7-day window. So they planted 15% of the crop in 1 week. They need some rain in the coming days, but things looking better. And they're moving quickly. These big operations down there, they'll run 24/7 until the crop is planted. Weather conditions in Russia are improving following rains in several key regions last week. There was some improvement noted. There's one well-followed group, Sov Econ, and they essentially said weather conditions are gradually improving. Now, there had been some concern, and there probably is still some concern that the Russian government could restrict exports if the crop is poor enough, I guess. We haven't really seen anything regarding that in, say, the news, but I've heard that sort of talk discussed. So we'll see if that becomes an issue. If it did become an issue, it would be probably a friendly factor for the U.S. wheat market, but for the moment, not an issue, I don't think. Soybeans are being shipped rapidly out of the U.S. Export inspections for the marketing year are the third best on record. We're behind 2015 and 2016, I believe. Sales are the best on record by a wide margin. We exceed the previous record by a whopping 34% in regard to soybean sales. So shipments are pretty good. They're the third best on record, and we're very close to being record high in regard to shipments, and we may very well be there a week or two from now. Sales still just absolutely phenomenal. Weather, again, if you look at the radar here this morning, you've got a system over the Texas Panhandle, western, maybe third of Oklahoma, moving into Kansas a little bit, and then there's some other stuff that's kind of sitting across the Missouri, Arkansas border into maybe southern Illinois, and the forecast for the next 7 days still looks fairly wet for a lot of those HRW areas, especially the state of Oklahoma and, say, the southern 2/3 of Kansas. Look to see quite a bit of rain. Nearby December corn futures actually posted a fresh high for this move overnight. They traded as high as 421 and three quarters, backed off just a little bit. USDA's got its next crop production and WASDE report on November 10th. There could be a lot of adjustments on the corn balance sheets, both globally and domestically. I wouldn't be surprised if USDA increased their export forecast for U.S. corn. They've got to make an adjustment to that Chinese import forecast at some point in time. It could come in 2 weeks. There's a lot of things that could change. The size of the U.S. crop, the yield could still change. Usually, you don't see a lot of big changes after October, but this has been kind of an odd year. So that's one thing to keep in mind. That report's 2 weeks out, but I think the trade's thinking about it. Soybean market is acting phenomenally well. We posted fresh highs either yesterday or the day before. The Brazilian situation is improving. The market doesn't seem to be overly concerned with that. Demand for U.S. beans just remains fantastic. Export and crush both running at a very good pace, and both are projected to be record high. Wheat futures, I think, is all about this weather forecast, and I don't think we're out of the woods here. I know there's a little bit of green on the screen here early this morning, but if this forecast remains in place, these rains, this snow, this precipitation comes to fruition, you've got a lot of length in this market that could be liquidated very, very quickly, and I think we started to see a little bit of that yesterday. Cattle market finished kind of mixed yesterday, following a cattle on feed report that I would say was probably a little bit negative. So I suppose that's a good sign. We'll see what develops here today. The stock market really got beat up yesterday. It's a little bit higher this morning. The Dow's up 110 points ahead of the cash open. The S&P's up 15. The bonds are about flat. U.S. dollars down. Crude oil is up 38 cents at 38.94. Gold and silver are mixed. If you would like some more information, as always, visit my website. It's www.standardgrain.com. Go to that website, click on Grain Marketing Plan, check out my subscription service. If you would like to know when, how, and specifically I am pricing corn, soybeans, and wheat throughout the year, it's broken down by crop year, and by percentage. Check out that subscription service. You can cancel it at any time. There is no other obligation. There's no other fee. You don't need to have a trading account. It's just an advisory service. I'll let you know what I'm doing every single day of the week. Everyone have a great day. I will talk to you same time tomorrow.